Hey, so how's it going? It's going really awesome for me. I'm just always in a ponder, which is a beautiful thing. Whenever I was taking my classes, when I got signed up for a vocational course, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and my husband was usually gone for a couple weeks at a time, 2 months at a time, so he was always gone. I'm divorced now. I'm single. Been single probably for about 5-6 years now. Loving it. It's so funny about this whole gang stalking template. For as millions of people there are out in the world that are being cashed out. I think if you've been on my channel this long, you understand and overstand what I say when I say cashed out. One very important thing, if you are just new to the ideology of all of this gang stalking, is basically all of this is gaslighting on steroids. And so if you would consider the government that passed out some smallpox blankets to the Indians on the Oregon Trail of Tears, they're still here. They're still dope. They just went more stealth and more corrupt with it. And so if you consider that the government that passed out them smallpox blankets during them Indians to them Indians in the Oregon Trail of Tears, that's your treason government. That is your treason. Is the same damn thing. It's undoing everything that the forefathers had done. Undoing all of the civil rights and liberties that our patriot forefathers had died for. So everything that circumvents that with all of this gaslighting on steroids, noise campaign, which is all of this gaslighting on steroids. What we have here is corruption upon corruption. So, and the crux of this are all pathological lies. I'm going to say that again. All pathological lies. So when I had taken my paramedic class, we were always trained to think, critically and such. So while objective data is important, when I say objective data, this is information you can see with your eyes. That's another way to say proof or evidence. But as a paramedic, as a critically thinking healthcare worker, you have to consider the pertinent negatives, because that is as important as your objective data gathering, your evidence gathering, your assessment gathering tools. So here's a rule of thumb, a rule of measure. Your objective data, as in this case your pertinent negatives, for as demonic and diabolic that this gang stalking presents to everybody partaking of it, wouldn't you think the government would have mentioned it by now? I know that's a big one, but that's a big one as in hardy har har. But the government of all people never even admitted to UFOs, and now they're admitting to it. But there's a lot of whistleblowers in between all of that did incur the punishment. But with your pertinent negatives, you would think that there should be an agency of the government that's offering safety, that's offering subjective objective protocol to handle safety for the targeted individuals and the gang stalked individuals. They don't mention shit. Ask yourselves that. Ask yourselves that. Because it's not no effing conspiracy theory. That in of itself is a coined phrase to gaslight the public. So go ahead. I challenge you. Dial 10 police departments and ask them to fax you their subjective objective protocol to protect gang stalked individuals, to protect targeted individuals. They're just going to turn around and gaslight you and say, what's gang stalking? Oh, here we go. The giant public fuck you that says you're not discerning enough to even notate it's there, let alone deconstruct it, let alone talk about who is doing this to you. That's what they always go back to. Well, who do you know who's doing this? Who is doing this to you? What are they doing to you? That's why it's good to research so you can answer these questions for yourselves and to others. Because honestly, everybody participating in all of this isn't. There's just so many adjectives, so many perspectives to dive into, and they just seem to bottleneck all at once. But with all of this gang stalking, the end game is to cash out people from existing. So it doesn't matter what capacity somebody participates in all of this gang stalking, they all have no integrity. And where they lack integrity, they play with people's lives to cause you to go unstable, to cause you to ideate suicide, maybe even ideate some homicide. At the end of that timeline, they expect their targeted individual. There's a whole template here. And it's the same damn copy-paste template between TI to TI to TI and your little stupid groups of your privileged home monitoring status. So you're just going to kick everybody's ass and gang stalk them until then, to make yourselves feel better for the gang stalking coalition. So if no agency sanctioned by the government is even talking about gang stalking, yeah, that's because they're part of the problem. And that's how fucked up it is. So wrap your brain around that. How on earth could a government that's supposed to be for the people not even care to do a damn thing about protecting the people that are being gang stalked? Just remember, they're looking to cash people out. That's the bottom line here. For all the magnificent ways they can cash someone out. And all of the families that join together and participate in that. This is like one of the other mystics and seers, I forget who right now, said that it's doomsday. Oh, Spiritual Advisor LLC, I think it was. And she looked it up. It's the final day of judgment, people. That's what doomsday is. I didn't know. I mean, we all think we know, but the nuts and bolts is the final days of judgment. So, when you're on a trajectory and everything is going as expected and everything's hunky-dory, you never really expect hiccups along the way. Well, that's where we are as a society. For you gang stalkers, you guys keep on your trajectory thinking that you're always going to be able to gang stalk somebody to death. I mean, come on now, guys. Let me ask y'all a personal question here. How many of you have been crying that I'm not dead? How many of you guys and your own skanky side of tormentors have already opted out with the seppuku? We got the choppers again. They sent in some. This is your noise campaign. If you are educated about the targeting, you know what's up. You know. If you don't, you don't. Don't worry about it. But throughout the progression of this video, we've had cars. That's always a given. They can sustain that for a while. And then they'll, like in my other video, you could hear the hammering noise campaign to throw you off the trajectory of what you're speaking about. And then choppa campaign, noise campaign, whatever. But for the noise campaign, for one person to incur all of that stupid attention that your government is paying criminals to do, breeding criminals in all of this Nazi Stasi, STASI playbook, you'd have to be a real dope. You'd have to be really stupid and irresponsible to not even know the basic logistics of targeting of the individual, especially if you are a teacher, a man of the cloth, a woman of the cloth, a so-called medical professional. Because what we have here is a subculture of diversity. Forget being culturally sensitive. We have a goddamn sacrifice circuit going on right now until abolishment date is set and has been actualized to abolish gang stalking and targeting. Your current state of affairs is that your government, the treason part of the government, remember, the same government that passed up them smallpox blankets to them Indians on the Oregon Trail of Tears, they ain't got no integrity. All those rat bastards are saddled up to cash people out. And the Great Reset, as I see it, that's the Great Culling. CULL. And you can add your ING. But whenever you experience police officers and anybody else that will say, what's gang stalking? They're gaslighting you, honey. And that's the kind of person you should not want in office. And in fact, any one of these dumb assholes in office hasn't said a goddamn word about bringing abolishment to gang stalking. Ask yourself why. Visit targetedjustice.com. Anybody could do that to learn to begin your own bandwagoned self-research to let the expansion begin from there. Richard Lighthouse has a series of free books to help everybody learn. I haven't said much of it because the information is there. If you're proactive and you really care about yourself rather than trying to cash out people from existence, you really need to go teach yourself. Because for all you know, your goddamn employer in the medical world is part of the goddamn problem. I'm not saying they all are, but I'm saying your corruption of Dr. Mengele Prodigy are alive and well generationally in your stupid medical centers. that refuse to acknowledge targeting of the individual and gang stalking of the individual to help bring in proper potential healthcare resources to restore health. One of them being directed energy weapons, which is a drain on anybody's body. Radiation poisoning, bitches. How common is that? Side effect of radiation poisoning? Tooth maladies. They just melt out of my head ever since but 2020 period. Any rate, let's make it a good one, guys.